I live in Maine. Nice to meet you. Thank you, Carol. We met this morning tonight. Good color.
It's a cool kind of a road around too. The name of that street you would probably know, or me, you probably know.
Well, there's so many little, because they want to see the woods, there's like no sidewalks. Big line. So that was
Street is
you know, that's a couple. Now, I live
Okay,
in
say no. Yep, okay.
And that's also the case, you need a room, it's big.
It's nice location.
I'm from my mom.
And he was a sound secretary to begin with.
You're up.
I'm from right here in Chicago.
She might be done.
Kennedy's.
I live in Lincoln.
There's some she went to. Not Stag, what's the other one?
We're recording and whenever you're ready.
I'm Dr.
It's big loud. Good morning.
That's less.
I'm just here helping out for today.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Action to Win. And such a beautiful day today in Chicago, isn't it? Everybody got a place to park, okay? It's my honor, privilege to be in the room with so many great, amazing speakers. And our very first speaker today, it's my honor to introduce Dr. Robert Page.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Thank
you,
you. Thank you.
thank you.
The stage is yours.
I get the microphone?
Yes.
Holy moly. Let's see.
You stand over by the screen, that'd be
Put
great.
this over here.
Thank you.
I'm gonna introduce the one and only Dr. Latran. And the other day, first time I sort of met and spoke with Emily was 2019 in New Orleans. And I introduced her then, and so maybe about a few days ago, I said, you wanted me to introduce you? And she simply sent me a yes and a bitmoji with her tongue sticking out. So I said, what do you want me to say? And she said, I'm a great mom and you can make up the rest. So, I bailed her out of jail this morning from the FBI. No, let me tell you, so I decided to make up a bio for Emily Latran.
Wow.
And I'll get it to you. And so let me tell you about her. And first off, Emily's backstory is part of the American dream. My friend Nathan Ho, same thing. And if you don't know it, you need to look at it. She came here from Vietnam. Knew about 2 words. Most of them were bad words. And it became the American dream. Didn't really speak a word of English. She received her bachelor's of Science in Biology from the University of California, Riverside. Graduated magna cum laude and Phi Beta Kappa and did it in 3 years. Rock and roll. That's the start of like being a driver personality. She eventually went to UCLA's dental school and at the same time received her Master of Science degree in neurobiology. She then did a GPR at Loma Linda VA Medical Center in Loma Linda, California, and a mini residency in Rancho Los Amigos Medical Center in Downey, California, with training and treating geriatric and medically compromised patients. She then became a private practitioner and owner in California, and today owns 2 multi-specialty group practices in Southern Cal. But like most successful people, that was not enough. One of my own quotes when I lecture is, don't be jealous of those that are successful. And successful people are doing something right, and if you can put your own spin on it with ethics and excellence, crank it. And that's what she did. She has now become a certified magnetic marketing advisor at Magnetic Marketing with the one and only Dan Kennedy. And if you've never bought the book Magnetic Marketing, please buy it. It's a very simple book to read. And if you don't know who Dan Kennedy is, you need to find out. And it's called Magnetic Marketing, and basically, really quick, the summation of the book is stop doing what everybody else is doing and do proven things that allow you to get magnetically attracted people that pay, stay, and refer. And that will sort of lead us into eventual purple cow, wow, being different than anybody else in a good way. She is the author, co-author of several books, including No Nonsense Dentistry with Maudie. If you don't know who Maudie is, we'll talk about him later. For dental peeps, commit to embracing your big life, how to train your patients so you can create your dream practice and live a life of abundance and significance. Next book, From Refugee to Renaissance Woman, Hard Work, Humility, and the American Dream. She is the co-author of The Modern Woman, To Have It All Without Sacrifice. She is further the co-author in the Doctor to Doctor book, Success Strategies, and Elevating Your Business and Personal Life. We still got more. Am I embarrassing you yet? But you know, this is important. This tells you a lot about the person that's going to come up here. And nobody sees the hard work
It's true.
until it's all paid off. And as a side note, one of my friends, God, he's known him for 37 years. He sold his business about 7 years ago, 8 years ago for $1.2 billion. That's a lot of cash. But copied McDonald's, bought the land that almost every one of his businesses sat on. And to this day, the land was not part of the deal. He gets rent every month on 51 properties, yielding almost $1 million a month passive income. Not bad. But nobody saw the hard work. I watched him almost fail 6 times. We're talking fail, completely under. How many of you are from the Chicago area? Yeah, you probably know him. His name is Dick Portillo. And, watched Dick almost destroy himself about 8 times. Nobody knows the risk. He ran his business like a Fortune 500 company. I was very honored to be on the board. All right. Emily has many online courses and business events. She's really become a master certified high performing coach. She is part of the Royal Order of Constantine the Great and St. Helen. We'll have to explain what that is. She is the club president and CEO of Space International. If you don't know what that is, look that up. It's a collaborative community of business owners and entrepreneurs. She's been featured in USA Today, Forbes, Yahoo Finance, Global Women Magazine, and many more. She is the founder and CEO of Exceptional Leverage, founder and host of Action to Win seminars. Holy moly, here we are. Finally, she is the mother of 3 awesome children, and she believes in work-life balance, continually takes courses in clinical dentistry, practice management, and her favorite activities include reading, creative writing, and being the best mom of the 3 children, whether it be playing tennis, watching Netflix, or enjoying a Starbucks together. With all of that, let's give an awesome welcome to the super cool little Dr. Emily.
In life. Lack of clarity. How do people get stressed in life? Lack of clarity. You're trying to do too many things and you're getting too busy. Clarity is knowing what you want, knowing who you are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because if you're clear, you know that you can step on the gas or you.
Take 2.
How do people get stressed in life? Lack of clarity. You're trying to do too many things and you're getting too busy. Clarity is knowing what you want, knowing who you are. Because if you're clear, you know that you can step on the gas or you're going to step on the brake. High performance is having a heightened and sustained level of clarity, energy, courage, productivity, influence, and necessity. To be successful, you need to be a high performer. 1981, Vietnam was going to go to war with China in the north and Cambodia in the west. Totally changed lives. My aunt decided that she's gonna leave the country, she's gonna escape. And my dad told me, you need to go with your aunt. So I left the country with my brother and my aunt, and I never saw him again. When I came to the United States, my luggage were hope and faith. My exotic location was a refugee camp in Malaysia with limited food, water, and electricity. Because of that, I was very driven. Always been my goal to create social impact.
I'm so proud of Dr. Emily Latran. She is dynamite in a small package.
Emily is an amazing woman. When I talk about the some of the obstacles you overcome, she's my poster child. Yeah, she is. She's just extraordinary in so many levels.
I can't tell you how proud I am of her journey learning business. And today she's doing their dream. She's living their dream.
She's extraordinary. She put together a great group of entrepreneurs that are on their journey.
She is full of energy. She's full of knowledge. She's full of passion and a forever student.
Dr. Latran, thank you so much for your guidance and your love. I appreciate so much what you've done for us.
I like to hear people say, hey, I'm successful, and I heard that from Emily. I am Emily Latran, and this is my
How's everybody doing today?
Very well, thank you.
I'm sorry, I know that woke you up. You didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
But, here we are. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. I think it's echoing. Is it echoing?
It's better now.
So my name is Dr. Emily Latran, and everything Dr. Pick say is kind of true. I will pay him later. Thank you so much for taking the time to come here this morning. I really appreciate you taking the time out on a busy Friday afternoon, morning, Friday. I'm feeling a little bit like time in California. And I just want for you to turn to the person next to you, give them a high five and say, thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here.
So I would like to acknowledge all my sponsors for today. I got Deborah McKee right here up in the front. Let's give her a round of applause. I'm working with Reveal, Biome, and Pearl, and I'll talk about these companies in a little bit, just touch on them. They have some of the tools and technologies that I think will really help you in growing your practice. So the title of the talk today is how to be an A kicker in your own economy. I remember one of those days, in the old days, when I would get home, and I'm busy making dinner, right? I'm cooking this in the pan and that in the pot, going crazy busy. And then my son, who was in second grade, he ran in from the family room and he said, Mom, I have a recital next week, Tuesday at 11 a.m., and I want you to be there. And I'm over here running different practices. I'm getting home, I'm busy making dinner. And then there's a recital in the middle of the morning. That means I'm gonna have to take time off work, drive to school, and then drive back to work, and then drive back to school to pick them up. And that's such a disruption in my day. And so I was so frustrated, I called my daughter. She's 4 years older than my son. And I said, Jennifer, I don't remember taking time off work in the middle of the day to watch your recital. And Jennifer looked at me and she said, Mom, I did have a recital in second grade. You just weren't there. And that was like a slap in the face because here I am, I'm thinking I'm doing a good job. I'm running 3 dental offices. You know, I'm busy. I go and I attend all of these things with my kids. You know, there's the kids party and there's the class meetings, taking them here and there, spending a lot of time with them, and yet I was so busy that I missed one special moment in my children's life. And that's when I made the decision that I'm gonna learn how to be super productive. I'm gonna learn how to do everything faster, better, so I will never miss another moment in my kid's life again. And so, last week, I was very proud to actually put my daughter on stage at UCLA Royce Hall. She graduated from the dental school, UCLA Dental School class of 2023, exactly 30 years after her mom.
Wow.
And a couple weeks before that, 2 weeks before that, I was able to attend my son's graduation. He graduated, the one with the recital. The one that I missed the recital, he graduated as a PharmD at Chapman University. So I think all of us are busy. There's no end to the busyness. But how do we become that as kicker, right? Where we can be in control of our economy, our office, our lives, enjoy our lives and still be super productive and successful. Because as you know, entrepreneurs are the crazy people. You know, they will work 80 hours or 100 hours to avoid working 40 hours. Anybody? Right? Because for me, success means peace. It means you know how to manage your stress. It means that you know how to handle all the objections, that you can live for yourself without having to say yes to everybody else. And it means to leverage everything you have. So that way you can replace yourself in the workplace. You can be here, right, and still be successful in your business. So today I'm going to share with you some of those strategies that I use in my past 30 years. Some of them you're going to say, I already know this. But I want to ask you, are you doing that every day? Because that's the difference. Just because we know something, it doesn't mean we actually do it. Sometimes people tell me they are so stressed. I don't know of anybody who have no stress, but where did the stress come from? The stress comes from the frustration, the lack of clarity. You're trying to do so many things, and you're putting on, I say, the wrong priorities. Sometimes I have a client who comes to me and say, okay, I'm going to do all these 10 things. These are most important. And we have to sit down and figure out of the 10 most important things, which 2 are we going to focus on. Some of us in our business, we go to a seminar, we pick up, we buy a piece of technology, we go back and we run the whole office to go and implement that. And then 2 weeks later, we go to another seminar, then we buy something else, and we'll go back and run the whole office to implement that. And then the team and our office get confused. And even the patients and the clients get confused. Because you're representing so many things, and there's no clear theme of who you are. The lack of leadership can also stress us out. Well, when I went to dental school 30 years ago, I don't remember any training on leadership. I don't know if any of you did have training in leadership. I got a couple of head shaking up here. That would also stress us out because we're not sure what to do. When somebody challenges, whether it's a difficult patient or maybe an uncooperative staff, sometimes we don't know how to deal with them. And unless we learn how to do that, we will always have stress because, people are people. They will always bring their baggage from home to the office, and we have to help deal with that. Or we have to make sure that they don't bring that baggage to our office. I like this picture. There's your plan, and there's reality. I was sharing yesterday with some of the speakers. I was making my plan here. I had just moved. I just bought a house, moved, and of course, it flooded. Mm-hmm. So I was planning to come here, and then I couldn't find my books, and I couldn't find my banner, and I couldn't find anything. Right? So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to show up with no banner, no only a few books that I could find. Because the plan, if you've been at another event with me, I always come in with a banner, and I got my books, and I got everything figured out. But when your house gets flooded, or your garage gets flooded 2 days before you leave, your priority is to go buy a new washer, you know? It's not like that. It's not so much on the seminar, right? So I want to share some of these with you today, how to be successful. And most of it is going to be high performance habits. And I will go into a little bit more detail about the high performance habits, because guess what? It's not going to be another manual. It's not going to be another system. Because we all know the manual. We all have the system, but why aren't we doing that? And if you're not doing it, maybe your staff is not doing it. And that's why we just keep going, installing, even though we have all the toys, we have all the information that we could use in order to become successful. And I'm very proud to say some of these strategies that I am sharing have been featured on Forbes, Dentistry Today. I've been honored to be on the podcast with Dr. Howard Farhan. He's like my hero, because he's straight to the point, no sugarcoating. I also share my story and some of these strategies in my books. So if I didn't have, you wanted the books today and I don't have them here, I will mail it to you. And I've been featured on TV. I was able to contribute articles onto multiple magazines, and I also host events. So you're here today because you're ready for a change. And there's a turning point somewhere, right? Because if we keep doing the same thing, we're going to get the same result. So like I said, I'm going to share with you some of these strategies, and I hope that you just take a look at it and say, okay, maybe I should go and implement these strategies. So I want you to take out your cell phone, and you can text the word START to 55678. And what you're going to do, what you're going to get is a link to download this particular guide. And it is a framework that I use in my past 30 years as a dentist. And so you can take a look at that. It's an overview of what I use, and you can save the link and then look at it later. But it's going to reinforce some of the ideas that I'm talking about today. So it's text the word START to 55678. Let's talk about where you may be right now. I call it your State of the Union, right? Are you frustrated? Maybe you feel a little uncertain. Maybe you have some doubts of where you want to go, what you can achieve. Maybe there's some lack of support in your business or your personal life. Maybe you feel like this. That you're experiencing several WTF, right, in your life. You see this slide okay?
Yes.
It's just,
Huh?
it's just me, I don't have my glasses.
Oh, no, I'm just asking because there's light here and there's dark back there. So maybe as you're listening to me, I'm sorry.
Time to wake up.
I know it's time to wake up in California. Maybe today you're gonna feel like now is the time to make changes, right? Now's the time to learn something new, implement something new. Because I believe that in order to be successful, in order not to experience those WTFs, we have to be continuously in training and development. So high performance is a sustained level of higher clarity, energy, productivity, courage, influence, and necessity. Key word here is sustained. Because anybody can get themselves to a higher level, but then they don't stay there. They get up there and then they kind of fall back down, and then they try to get up there and then fall back down. So with high performance, we're talking about sustaining that all the time. So I'm going to touch on some of these. The first one is clarity. Clarity is knowing who you are, knowing what you want. I mentioned earlier that people who want, you know, these are my 10 priorities. And we have to talk about it and pick 2 that we will implement. So if you have a lot of things that you say, I have to do, I need to accomplish, I would invite you to write out a list and actually just pick 1 or 2 that you know that you need to do by a certain amount of time. Because if you know that, then it's very easy for you to step on the gas and just go full force. Or you should just pause and say, okay, I'm gonna drop some of these things. I'm only gonna do these other 2 things. When you don't have clarity, that's when you get frustrated. So many of the people that I work with, and even patients when they come in, right? And you present certain treatment plan to them and they say, yeah, I want to do this or I don't want to do that. And they tell you that they have 5 other things that are going on in their life. It's our job to let the patient, to explain to the patient so they understand where their health is as part of the priority. Some people say they weren't sure what was most important until something bad happened, you know, a dramatic event in their life. And I think I'm always pretty clear in what I want in my life. It's always about getting to the next level. When I first came to this country, it was about making money. I didn't make money to help the family back home. And as I go along, when that little incident happened with my son, where I missed his performance, it's gonna be about family, the current family with the little people. So a couple of years ago, I got into a car accident. Somebody decided to make the turn and cut somebody else off and flew right into me. That was an expedition, so I hate expeditions. And that's my van, and this guy, you know, it would just flew to me, and I think a couple more inches would probably get this whole half of my body. And it was a wake-up call. And what I encourage you to do is you don't need to be in a car accident, right? To say, this is what's most important to me right now. And for me, when that happened, there was a couple of things. Number one, I was coming back from dropping off my kids. I picked them up every day from school, so I just dropped them off. So luckily, none of them were in the car with me. I was coming back to the office. And I still remember I called the office and I said, hey, we need to reschedule the patient because I got into a car accident. And my staff go, well, when will you be here? Patients are waiting, right? Because you sound okay. And then most of the time, I sound okay. And I think most of the time, you sound okay. You sound okay, but there's a lot of things going on inside. And we need to look at who we are and what we're doing and not just keep going on just because we sound okay. We're gonna do a quick exercise. Ready for a quick exercise?
Yes.
Yeah? So I'd like for everybody to just close your eyes. And I want you to think about 3 things, 3 most important things, 3 important qualities, 3 important values to you. That when somebody talks about you, these things should come out. Just 3 things, not 20 things, just 3 things. Everybody got 3 things? Okay. Now I want you to open your eyes and write down those 3 things. And then I'd like you to take out your cell phone. And I want you to go to 9:15, the time. Go to alarm, go to 9:15 a.m. And I'd like you to set an alarm there at 9:15. When I say label, I want you to put those 3 words. The 3 words that you just wrote down. So when you set the alarm at 9:15, it's going to say alarm. So when you would label, just instead of alarm, I like you to put those words in there. Everybody got that? don't need to find a chick to do that for you.
15-year-old.
Okay? And then you can put it down. We'll come back to it later. Now, when we talk about clarity, a lot of times we also need to talk about the team. I would speak to a business owner, a dentist, a doctor, financial advisor, CPA, and they are very clear in what they want to do. They want to get to $1 million or $2 million or have more free time. And then when I go and talk to the team, nobody knows what they're talking about, right? The boss is real clear in what they want to do, and the team has no idea how to do that. So when we talk about clarity, it's not just you, it's the people around you. If you have your spouse, make sure your spouse understands what is your priority. If you have your kids, young or old, let them know a little bit about what your priorities are. My kids, they know family is very important to mom. And we always gather at my cousin's house for Christmas. And I remember one year my cousin went to Vietnam. And my kids said, where are we going for Christmas? And I said, we're gonna stay home. Because cousin family went back to Vietnam. But they are so, they understand that it's so important. And we always go to my cousin's house, that for them, if the cousin wasn't there, what do we do, right? And it's always about family first. So make sure you talk to the people who you love, people who surround you. Make sure that they know what your priorities are. We're gonna do another exercise. I'd like for you to, on that piece of paper, I'd like for you to write down everything you do on your regular day. So your regular work day, what do you do? For example, treating patients would be one thing. Okay, don't list every procedure that you do. So treating patients would be one thing. Maybe you answer phones. You answer voicemail and email from your colleagues if you're a specialist. Maybe you meet with the vendors. Okay, so I'd like for you to write down that list. And then, what I want you to do is I want you to put a check mark next to the activity that directly produces income. So for the dentist, it would be when you're doing clinical treatment. That would directly produce income. Everybody got a list and a checklist? And then a check, yes? Okay, now I want you to circle the activity that you're the only person who can do. So I think what you're gonna realize is you got a whole list and you have a couple of checks. And then maybe you have one or two circles, right? So my question to you is, do you need to do that whole list? Because if you are doing the whole list, my challenge to you is to drop some of those things from that list. That doesn't mean just don't do it, that means to delegate it, right? To delegate it to somebody else. And the higher challenge is, how do we get rid of that circle? How can we not be the only person who can do that in the business? So for me, I did that several years ago, and I don't have any circle because I run a group practice. So I have dentists who can replace me. So think about it like that, because that's how you're gonna leverage time and people to run a business where you don't have to be there. Now, if you wanna be there, there's nothing wrong with that. This is just when you look at prioritizing, look at it in this, in this way, because some people have a big list and they try to get the list smaller. I want you to look at how it directly relates to profitability in your business, and also how you don't have to be in the business if you choose to. And then I'd like you to just jot down one thing right now. One thing when you just did that list. What is the one thing that you need to focus on right now? in order to improve the business. Would anybody like to share the one thing? Yes?
Well, for me, new students for the doer training.
Okay.
That's the one thing.
Okay, getting more customers, right, or clients, that's the one thing. One of my clients bought a practice from another doctor. And she said, oh yeah, I'm gonna do an open house and just bring everybody in. Which is something that a lot of people do, right? You buy a new business and you do an open house and you get the people to come in and see you. And when I sit down with her, I said, okay, I think there's more than just an open house. There's a framework, there's a list of things that you could do to make sure that that transition is easier and more successful. So here's our list. We can send out a letter. We send out a flyer. We can do a press release to let people know that, this doctor is taking over an open practice, maybe it was a legacy practice, and they're taking over such a big shoes to fill in. And we talk about that in the press release. Everybody know what a press release is, right? We would invite people to come to our open house. But guess what? We're not going to invite everybody. We're going to invite the people who are the influencers in that practice. The people who talk a lot, right? So they can go out there and talk about you to the community. The people who have been there for a long time and love the culture of your practice. Not just the doctor, but the culture as a whole. And when we ask patients to come, we also ask them to bring a friend. So when we're talking about getting more customers, more patients, more clients, when you have somebody come in and you ask them to invite a friend, all of a sudden, one become two, right? And then two become four. We share all the memories of the previous doctor. When you take over a business, honor things that they have accomplished. Even though everybody wants to say, okay, I'm new, I'm better, honor the memories of the person who last on that business. Always speaks very highly of you because you value the loyalty, you value the legacy of the previous person. Power of association, have somebody else talk about you. So if you come into the new practice or new business, not just the previous person the previous owner talk about you highly, maybe you can get other people to talk about you. And celebrate. Along the line of sharing the old memories, share videos, share stories, share photos. Anybody here do newsletter? Yeah. Okay, when you do newsletter, I love newsletter because you can put whatever you want, right? And it's your newsletter, so you don't follow any rules. Well, you follow HIPAA, but other than that, you can share whatever you want. When I do my newsletter, I would share that I'm coming here as, to do an event, or maybe I'm attending an event, or maybe I get knighted, or maybe I have this new client and she shared this story. So you can put whatever you want in the newsletter, and that would give personality, that people understand who you are, and I encourage everybody to do that. Let's talk about energy. How many of you here know that you need to sleep more? Okay, there you go. How many people know that you need to drink more water? Okay, so I'm going to drink my water. I hope you have your water. How many people know that you need to sleep more? You need to exercise. Yeah? That table is good? Okay. So, let's get up and exercise.
Oh.
Okay. So what we're going to do is an exercise called Qigong. And what we do is we're going to tap our body like this. Okay, we're going to tap hard. And this would help us move the blood flow in our body. Okay? So I'm gonna start first, I'm gonna show you real quick. You tap hard, and then when you move your hand up in your body, you move it at about half an inch at a time. Okay? So it's like this. So I'm gonna start with my right foot. I go from the ankle up, okay? It looks like this. Okay? And then I go up on my leg, right? So we're gonna start, if you don't have good balance, just put your foot on the chair. Okay, there's really no falling here. So we're gonna start with the right foot, okay? Down here from the ankle, go up. All the way up. And then the butt, okay? Put the legs down, take a deep breath. Left foot. Okay, put your foot down. Take a deep breath. The right side of the body, like this. Pull up. And then take your hand. Go up with your arm. Drop your shoulder. Take a deep breath. Left side. Take your hand. Drop your shoulder. Take a deep breath. And your back. Okay, deep breath. How are you feeling?
Good.
Good?
Yes.
Okay, you just have one more time. So that was like a quick minute where you can shift your energy, right? You don't need to drink any coffee. You don't need to go for Starbucks. You don't need to eat any chocolate. You can just right then and there change your energy by tapping yourself. Smile. How many people here know a cranky dentist? Or maybe you are a cranky dentist. Or maybe you sit next to a cranky dentist. That's not the reason. But the smile does so much for the business. When people come into our business and they see us smile, and I don't care if you have, a storefront, brick and mortar, or you have a virtual business. When people see you smile more, they just feel more comfortable with you. I just bought a practice in Huntington Beach. I've been in there like a little bit more than a month, about 10 days, because I'm only in there 2 days for the transition. And patient left, and then the staff would tell me, oh, that patient came in, she didn't know there was a change in practice, and blah, blah, blah. And she said she's very nervous. And I said, well, we were laughing in the operatory. And the staff said, yeah, I didn't even tell you that that's what she said. But my way of practicing is I'm gonna make somebody laugh, right? So if I have let's say 10 to 15 patients scheduled, my goal is to make everybody laugh. And if that's my goal, I make it 6 or 7 of them laugh. And that's still better than not getting anybody laughing, right? And so when you do that, you go to an event, you're on stage, you're speaking, you go to a PTA meeting, you treat your patient, just make sure, that's the goal to make somebody laugh. And they can laugh even before they see you. When my patients come into the practice, they see this little jar and say, Ash is a problem patient, right? And some people even open it up and take a look to see what's inside. And I say, one of these days, I'm gonna put some sand in there or some paper ashes in there just to freak people out. But these are little things, right? These are little things that let people know that you're different. And that's what I like for you to think about. We can all have all of our diplomas, all of our certificates on the wall. So my wall may look the same as you if we all go and get all the certificates. But do you have Ashley's problem on your counter, right? This is, I love this little card here. I got this card from my son Austin many years ago. And it says, dear mom, this coupon is good for one thorough question one thorough answer to any question you have about technology without me losing my patience. That was my Mother's Day card. Right? So you can kind of tell how good I am with technology. People complain about stress, people complain about their energy down. What they don't realize is they carry baggages, right? They carry the past stories, what others said about them. The past divorce, the past fallout with the parent, the last time they lost, I don't know, a championship in high school. They bring all of those things with them all the time. And then they complain that they don't have enough energy, that they feel down. Well, I want you to remember that you are special, that you've gone through a lot, that you can do whatever you want. Don't do anything illegal. But you can do whatever you want if you put your mind to it. And when we talk about having clarity, if we're very clear in who we are and what's most important to us, then it's easy to achieve what we want to do. How many people have seen this at the airport?
Yeah.
Right? You got a bunch of cell phones charging, trying to make sure that the phone is alive. I remember one time I took a screenshot of my phone and I posted, well, a screenshot of whatever the picture was on my phone, and I posted online. And the comments I got, and my phone was very low in battery, it has a little red line. And I got a bunch of comments that say, charge your phone, charge your phone, charge your phone, charge your phone. And people totally missed what I was posting, because they are so tuned in to the phone has to have battery. So I want you to think, when was the last time that you spent time recharging yourself? When was the last time that you just take time off for yourself? I talked about this at my last seminar, and what I did is I like for everybody to go to your calendar right now. We have, 6 months left in the year? I want you to just pick one day, any day, I don't care which day it is. Just pick one day and just put that that's the day, your day off. And I mean your day off, right? Just for you. I had somebody last time say, well, I already booked my vacation. And I said, are you booking the vacation with the whole family? Yes. No, that's not what I meant. I want just you and your day off, okay? One day. Just pick a day. Because if you don't have that day, you don't write it down, it will never happen. So I'd like for you to write that down, okay? Pick one day. Talk a little bit about courage. Courage is taking the action even when there's fear, even when you feel uncomfortable. And I'm not talking about running into a building, rescuing somebody. I'm talking about there's a patient filming in the front, and you're gonna go out there and deal with them. Because at the beginning of my practice, I'll send out the manager. Go talk to her. She wants her money back, go talk to her. Or she's unhappy about something. And I didn't want to deal with that. Because it's difficult. It takes courage to deal with something like that. Maybe you have a difficult decision to make. Like I had a difficult decision to move after 20 years, selling my practice for 25 years. I mean, I bought a new one to replace that, but those decisions are hard. I did a video. I haven't posted the video. I did a video in my practice saying goodbye. I haven't posted it. Because it's hard, right? And I'm not saying you have to push through everything, but to be willing to do that, that's already step number one. And sometimes you can't do it yourself. You need somebody to help you. And I learned that when I started my journey being a coach. And then along that line, I learned that I have to be a speaker. How am I doing so far? Okay. So I wrote my first 2 books. The first one is called From Refugee to Renaissance Woman, and just to share my life story. And the second one is called Commit to Embracing Your Big Life. And I was told that I need to be a speaker. And I said, no way in heck. I treat patients, I sit in, I sit in front of them. They listen to me pretty well, especially when I have a syringe in my hand. But other than that, I am not a speaker. But I was told, no, you need to be a speaker. So my very first speaking engagement was in a group of 20 people. One of my friends from CEO Space put on an event and she said, hey, you got a great story, come speak to the group. You have 10 minutes. So I went there and I spoke for 10 minutes and I'm sweating, and I got off stage. And I mean, people love the story. I didn't love the experience. So my mentor at that time, Sharon Lecter, she called. She said, how'd you do? Because I told her what time I was speaking, so of course she called me right after. How'd you do? And I said, who in the world would want to be speaking? This is crazy. This is stressful. Blah, 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 blah. Then another friend messaged me and said, hey, TEDx in Walnut is looking for a speaker. And I put your name in. Okay. So I wrote up a speech. I got it edited by my mentor. And I memorized the speech. Because with TEDx, you're standing in a red circle, right? So you don't need to move anywhere. You just stand there. So I memorized my speech and I tried to deliver it to a group. This is my second time doing public speaking. It's a mastermind group. I was actually on at the end of the day, so there may be 5 or 6 people listening to me. And when I was done, they said, when did you say you were going to do this? But you got to go home and prepare some more. And I said, okay. So I went home and said, okay, I got to prepare some more. So I put my 2 boys on the bed, in the bedroom, and I'm standing right here, and I said, I want to deliver a speech to you two. And then when I'm done, you are going to give me feedback. So I'm standing there, I'm talking to the boys. And when I was done, the boys, they were in elementary and middle school. I said, Mom, your enunciation is wrong, your pronunciation is wrong, I don't know, they have this whole list, right? And I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, these people are not helpful. So I said, I need to find another audience, right? Because what do you do when you're speaking to an audience, they don't seem to like you, right? And then just go find another audience instead of improving. So I found my perfect audience because they just sit there, they're just listening to me, smile. They're very encouraging. So I worked through my fear and then I went and spoke at TEDx. The day I spoke, the boys were there. And then at the end of my speech, they came up, but they didn't have any criticism. They just had tears in their eyes. So the reason I'm sharing that with you is because a lot of us, we are speakers. Some of us may want to speak, like maybe want to speak more. Or whatever it is that you want to do more, that you haven't been doing, this is your first time, is your second time. I want you to think about my story, right? I'm not saying to practice in front of stuffed animal. That's, you choose. But we all start somewhere and we have to push through fear in order to achieve what we want. Because from that TEDx stage, I went and spoke in India, I spoke in Australia, and what was that?
That was my alarm.
That was your alarm. There you go. That was the only alarm, but the other people have their phones on.
A vibrate,
Yeah. Why don't you take a look at your phone, everybody, and look at those 3 words. Does that make you feel good? Yeah? I encourage you to leave those 3 words in there and just put it randomly during the day. And when that phone vibrates, what you're going to do is you have to go and turn it off. Right? And then when you turn it off, when you go turn it off, you're going to look at those 3 words. And it's going to remind you to be who you are, who you're supposed to be, those best values that you said that you wanted to achieve. So I want you to write down just one thing about courage that you want to do in the next 30 days. Anything you want, but it's something that will take courage. Would anybody want to share one thing?
Well, I had already written to the Minister of Health in Fiji, and I need to follow up on that because we're going to do a retreat in Fiji for midwives and doulas. So that's courageous to continue going into that arena. So.
Yes, it would be, it's courageous to write it the first time,
Yes, it was.
right? But when you follow up, when you really want the answer. Right? The first time you send it, you cross your finger, maybe they'll answer, maybe they don't answer, well, maybe I don't have to follow up. But when you follow up, you really want to know, is it a yes or a no, right? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, actually mine was the same, following up on people who haven't responded. And we have all these stories we tell ourselves.
Yes.
And that, you're right, that takes extra courage, because now you've already made assumptions about how they're receiving you.
And it could be totally off.
Could be, it's always totally off. But that takes courage to reach out again.
Yes, absolutely. So I want you to give yourself permission to fail, permission to mess up. Trust me, there are times when I think my very first event, I was testing, the AV and everything. Everything works great. And as soon as everybody sat up and I was supposed to start, nothing works.
Yeah, of course.
And of course, it's the very first event, right? So you're there. And I remember it's actually with a clicker also. So that's why I have 3 clickers with me. But I remember I'm up there and then somebody in the audience actually had a clicker. Like today, I was bugging Dr. Peck. Dr. Peck, let me borrow your clicker, because last night we tested. I have a perfect clicker. Real nice, neat one. And then this morning I can't find the little adapter. So I got my backup clicker. Because sometimes things happen for a reason. So with the right people are in the right room. And that's what I encourage you to do. Things don't go well, just remember that it happened for a reason, and sometimes it will take courage for you to overcome whatever it is. Anybody in here ever think about writing a book? Or writing a chapter or something? Yeah. Well, that always takes courage, and if you like to do that, I invite you to talk to me. I've written 4 or 5 books myself and co-authored with other books, and a total of 14 or 15, right? So I can help you with that. One of the doctors I work with, she travels to teach emergency medicine. And she also does her own thing, does dentistry, but she also teaches emergency medicine. And when I started working with her, her thing was, I want to raise my fees. How many people ever have that thought? I want to raise my fees, right? And so we worked through that very short amount of time. She doubled that business because she raised her fees. Sounds very simple, but how come we don't do it sometimes? Let's talk about productivity. This is a very big part of high performance. Productivity is all about time, how you use your time. This is one of my favorite quotes here from Harvey Mackay. Do you know Harvey Mackay? Okay, Harvey Mackay is a marketer. I think one of his famous books is The Blue Ocean. So if you hear people say blue ocean marketing, that means that you're going into a market where you're gonna dominate. There's less competition. But sometimes you have to make it into your blue market by positioning yourself a particular way. So he said time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. And once you've lost it, you will never get it back. And I'd like for you to take a picture of this slide, please. This is about cutting down 5 minutes every hour. Because if you do that, assuming you work 8 hours a day and 40 hours a week, that would mean that you're saving 40 minutes a day if you say 5 minutes every hour, you work 8 hours, 40 minutes a day, 200 minutes a week, 9,600 minutes a year, and that's a total of 160 hours a year. And that would be equivalent to 4 weeks, 4 working weeks, that you're gonna get back if you save 5 minutes per hour. So the next time you tell yourself, okay, I need to stop thinking around, well, stop thinking around. Because that 5 minutes, each of the 5 minutes add up, that's what you're gonna get a whole month back. How many people suffer from the weapon of mass distraction? Some of you laugh. Are you a victim? How many people go online and then end up on Amazon? Right? That's what I do. I end up on Amazon, or I end up on some vacation, blue ocean kind of website because I'm thinking about where I'm going to go next, where I want to host a retreat, that kind of a thing. Well, if we were to go online and look up something and research something, what I like to do is give yourself a time. I'm going to spend 5 minutes looking this up. I'm going to spend 10 minutes looking this up. Because what's on your calendar and what's on your to-do list need to reflect productivity. And we talk about that. You made a list and you put the check mark and you made a circle, okay? We don't need the 20-item to-do list. We just need that circle, which is an activity that deliver value, increase profitability, and only you could do. So you should always focus on that. How about a not to-do list? Okay, something that you should not do, like picking up your friend from the airport. Anybody still doing that? No? The last time I told people, just tell them to get an Uber. Then I got totally criticized. And you tell your friend to go get an Uber? And I said, yep. Just tell them to go get an Uber. You don't need to pick them up. How about a to-be list? Right? To be generous. This is me and the kids and my staff. We did a mission in Costa Rica many years ago, and all the kids flocked around me because we brought some glow-in-the-dark soccer balls. All of those kids showed up for 2 soccer balls. How about be ambitious? Being productive, I mentioned earlier, is using everything so that way you can do things faster. So leveraging technology, Viome is a company that I work with, and the newest product that they come out is a salivary test that predicts oral cancer to, I think, 95% specificity. So you can talk to me, because if you're the dentist in the office, this is something that you can do to help help the patients, because obviously we want to get rid of oral cancer, or we need to diagnose it first, and then we can get rid of it. And this is something that you add value to patients. I have a patient that I referred to a specialist, and he ended up actually having cancer in the mouth. And every single time he comes in for the past 25 years, he would thank me for saving his life. So it could be something very simple. Like in his particular case, I just referred him to the specialist. Back then, there was no test. It was looking in the mouth and seeing something was different, and then I referred him to a specialist. But now, when we have technology that can help us do that, to serve our patients better, that's what I would encourage you to do. Reveal is an app that you can use to show the patient your smile, the patient's smile right live in their mouth. So it's not take a picture and create a simulation. This is right in the patient's mouth. So for example, you can see in the picture there, gentleman when he's smiling, that's the teeth. That's the simulation, but it's right in his mouth. So we can see how it actually goes with his mouth. This is another patient. You can see that he's missing some teeth on the picture on the right, and also it has a gap there. And this is how his mouth would look on the right side when there's no gap to the mouth. So when you can show people that, it just speeds up the process for them to look at it and say yes, right? Similar to when you go buy a car, why do they tell you to go drive the car, right? If you get into that car and you want the car, you pretty much are going to buy the car, right? So this is similar, but this is in the mouth, which is what the space really work. And who knows PER or use PER? Anybody? No. PER is a system, an AI, using AI, and it will actually help you read the x-rays and tell you where the cavities are using AI, okay? So for me, when I'm at the new practice, I'm thinking I'm gonna put the associates in there. They can do the diagnosis, and PER position themselves as a second opinion. So this is the second opinion. If you miss anything, it's gonna tell you to go back and double check. When we talk about productivity, it's not about the income level. You can increase your income if you are more productive. Dr. Katie is one of my first clients, and when we started working together, she has a $1 million practice, and her goal was to pick up golf again and to go pick up her kid on time. Those were the goals. But we have a $1 million practice. And I worked with her, and the very first day after our first call, the next day she went to pick up her kid. First of all the class, she said my kid was in shock because he's usually the last one that get picked up. And then she picked up golf again, and not just her and her husband, made the kid go play golf too. I think yesterday he won a golf tournament. He just turned 7. So remember we talked about clarity, what's most important to us? That's what's most important to her. And it's not like she doesn't know, I gotta go pick up my kid on time. She knows that, but how come she doesn't do it? So sometimes it's a conversation that we have with ourselves, or maybe with a coach or a mentor, that get us to actually take action and do the next step. Another big part of high performance is influence. When I'm talking about influence, I'm talking about being a role model. I want you to just close your eye for a moment, and I want you to think, who is your role model? Or who is your role model? And then I want you to think, who do you want to be a role model for? Okay, you can open your eyes. Because sometimes what people say is, I want to be a role model for my kid. But I want you to think a little bit bigger. Because we are all in a position as influencer or advisor, people look up to us. Right? Maybe you just want to be a role model for your kid. But there's all your Facebook followers who are looking at you. Or Carol is going to Fiji. There are people in Fiji looking up at you, right? So you're not just a role model at home, you're a role model abroad. With social media, the playing field is level, right? Anybody can be on Facebook, anybody can be on LinkedIn. So if you're talking about, hey, I want to increase my influence, those are the things that you can leverage to create that influence. What are you putting out there to let people know that they can seek you up for advice, right? That you can share certain things. And Dr. Taryn has a podcast. You're a role model. Whatever you say, your listeners are probably picking that up. And they're following, even without you knowing, right? So I'm very blessed to actually be working with Dan Kennedy right now as a private client. He's a marketer. He writes copy and he coaches business owners. And I wrote a chapter in the book that he put out last year. And my chapter title is How to Keep a Patient for 24 Years. Actually, this was 2 years ago. So last year was How to Keep a Patient for 25 years. Every year I change the number. And I just talk about how to have people follow you, listen to you, and stay with you, which is very important. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. One of the things I love back in Southern California is people who walk up to me and say, I love to see how you grow. Not physically, it's still the same, but they watch that journey, right? And so when you have people watch the journey, or you have clients or patients who stay with you, you see how they change and how they get better, and make sure you talk to them about that journey. But that's how they stay with you. And most of the time, it may not be your work, because when they come to see you, they already assume that you're competent, right? What they like about you is they like you as a person, they like the culture, your office, the people who work around you because they deliver the same value. I have a couple of, I call greatest compliments, right, from the patients. One is, patient is snoring in the chair. That's a great compliment, that means that they're comfortable. Another one is patient coming into the room, and I come in for a checkup, and the person looked at me and said, who are you? Because they haven't seen me. The person hasn't seen me because I haven't been in the office. But they still come anyway because they like the value that the office delivers. And I think when we do movie night, there's patients who come up to me all the time, and we have a little check-in table, and they will say, thank you so much for inviting us. And then when the patient walked away, I would ask myself, who's that? Because I don't know who it is. There's so many people. But again, they come because of the value that we deliver. So when you go back to your work, I want you to think about that. Who are you, what do you represent, what does your company represent? Because that will just draw in more customers, patients, clients. I got knighted. And don't ask me the name of the whole thing because it's very long. But I got knighted because I was recognized for philanthropy work in the healthcare field. So I think it speaks a lot because, again, it has nothing to do with my credentials. It has nothing to do with how good I am with the patients. It's just about who I am. And when you get recognized for those kind of things, guess what? Your competitors, they can't compete with you. Because it's not something about work, right? It's not about having the biggest office. I understand Google reviews and all that, those are great too. But who you are as a person and what you're being known for, I think those go a long way. One of my clients is an endodontist specialist, and she told me she wanted to be known as the go-to person in her community. And I said, okay, who likes root canal? Right? But I explained to her, your customers are the general dentists. It's not the patients. It's the people who refer more patients to you. So that's the person that you need to build the trust and the community with. So she launched a study club right during COVID. So the very first meeting, well, because we were planning the study club and then COVID hit, so the first meeting was virtual. And then after that, she keep on doing meetings. This is actually her office. She does a meeting in her office. I help her get sponsored from a laser company. So they come and they attend the meeting and they sponsor the meeting. Then of course she becomes a speaker and she writes books. She hasn't written articles yet, but these are the ways to distinguish herself with other specialists within her community, within the business. So that's what I would encourage you to think. What can you do to create this influence and be different from the rest of the people in the community. Questions? Yes,
Was there ever a time when you doubted yourself?
we do that in private. I'm just kidding. I think all the time. I think all the time, especially when you always try something new, and there's always something that you don't know. Let's talk about this event, right? It's in a city that I haven't done anything here in the city. I came here one time to attend a seminar, but otherwise I don't know Chicago, right? So what did I do? I reached out to my friends who live here and said, hey, we're doing a seminar. You know, we're going to invite your friends. You gotta want to be here, right? And whether people show up or not, right? Or whether people respond to your invitation, you always doubt and you're thinking, maybe I'm not good enough. I don't do that anymore, as far as am I good enough? Because I already know this is me. This is 100% of me, and that's good enough for me. If that's not good enough for you, that's your problem, right? But yes, I think when we always set an expectation, when we say, okay, I want to try this. Let's say I wanted to apply to speak at certain meetings, right? And then they reject. Like Chris Salem is one of my speaker coach. And they go, yeah, send us application to all these places. And I assure you, it's going to be rejected. Because it's going to be your first time trying to get on the bigger stages. Like we applied to like a physician conference, right? And the physician conference talk about stress. So I talk about stress. I talk about these kind of strategies to control stress, but I'm not an MD. So again, going back to having a mentor, right? He already told me, you're going to be rejected, don't worry. But you're going to be in the system. Then next year, you apply again, right? But if I start saying, okay, I applied to 20 places and 21 places rejected me, that's going to be hard. But guess what? When I first started as a speaker, this is what I learned from one of my coaches, is, you know, have your own stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And it's a heck of a lot of work. I've been very blessed, usually for an event, and the sponsors will help sponsor the event, so I'm not spending money on the event, right? But other than that, you know, if I have my own stage, I can do whatever I want, most of the time. I can control the temperature. That's one of my favorites, because how many times do you go to an event and it's too hot or too cold, and then at my event, people will just come up and say, Emily, it's too hot. So then I just say to the house, can you turn it down? And then Emily, it's too cold. Can you turn it up? These things, I like the little control part. But when you have your own stage, then it's right there. You already position yourself as an influencer. Whether or not you are one and you believe in that, that's on you. Because you put on an event and people show up, right? Because they trust you. And you don't want to violate that trust. But if you keep on, you know, wanting to get to the next stage, I think every time you do that, you're going to doubt yourself. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. There was another question, yes.
So you and I met around 2013, and we were in Sharon's room, sitting on her floor. And your journey with Sharon started about approximately then. And I've been watching you progressively go and grow. And so I know our mentors always have mentors. And I was just wondering, how many mentors have you evolved through? Because Sharon's a lifelong mom to you, right? But how many other mentors have you gone through in each area of development?
Yeah, so I'm just going to talk about my personal one. So I think a lot of us who are dentists in the room, when you went to dental school, you probably, depending on when you went to dental school. So I think back when I went to dental school at UCLA, I think when we first came in in '89, each quarter was $500. It's the same fee as undergrad. By the time we graduated, each quarter was $1,500. And we were screaming, like, what, you tripled the, the tuition. So I went to dental school, whatever, together with the cost of living back there. I don't know, maybe it was 100,000, maybe, right? Graduated in 1993. I've invested more than $500,000 in growing myself after the dental school. Because the dental school, finished dental school doesn't start, right? Nobody said that, but I just got started. I didn't know much. So, and I'm not saying that to brag, I'm saying that to say that that's how we grow, right? Whatever we invested when we first got started, that's what we got us to the starting point as a professional, whatever you do. And usually the way I look at mentor coaches is, what do I need now? And then I look for usually the best person in that and see if I can work with that person. It may not be one-on-one, it could be in a group. So for example, we talk about speaking, well, I told you my speaking training. So one of the coach was Matt Browning. He teaches NLP. It was in Costa Mesa, California. I've taken courses with Brendon Burchard, my high performance coach, Roger Love, Bo Eason. That's like a whole package there. The most recent speaking training I had was with Pat Quinn. I think it was 2 days, $10,000, something like that. But I'm always investing in getting better. Hopefully, you can see the difference. Oh, okay. in how I speak. So let's say if I want to speak, I'm going to get somebody who can help me with speaking. When I wrote when I started my journey in writing, so I'm so blessed to have Sharon Lecter as my mentor. So Sharon is a co-author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. So when I sent her the script of that book, I asked her to write the foreword. And she told me to send the book, so I'm waiting for the foreword. She sent back the foreword and she said, on page 42, you need to put a period after whatever word. Yeah. And I'm thinking, she read the book. Most people skim the book but she read the whole book. And so she said, and I'm sure this is not the final draft. It was the final draft. So I went back to the editor and said, you better edit it again because, my mom, well, I call her mom as a business mom, my mom found a mistake. So that's the, in writing. In high performance, I have Brendon Burchard as my coach, and I'm in all of his programs. There's one going on right now. And I want to really step up with my coaching and consulting. So I just started working with Dan Kennedy about a month and a half ago. It only took me 10 years to try to work with him because for me, he's a very intimidating person. He's known as the professor of partiality, right? So do you want to hear the truth or not? No. But I really wanted to put myself out there with all the writing, the ad copy, and that's when I signed up with him. So it's about a month and a half. So I think at each stage of your journey, it depends on where you want to go, look for that person. I'm not about accountability coaches. I felt miserably at that. One of my program I was in, they had an accountability coach for me. I got on the phone and he said, okay, did you do A, B, and C? And I said, no. But I did E and F, which wasn't discussed. But he let me slide. And the next time he said, did you do A, B, and C? No, I only did C. And then I did G and I or whatever. So after about a month, I said, okay, we're done with accountability coaching. So I think it depends on what you want. That's why clarity is so important. If this is what you want, whoever you hire to work with, is that person going to be the right person to help you get to what you want? I don't think it's about the number of mentors or coaches. I don't think it's about the amount of money that you spend. If that's what you want, can this person get you there? And then it's a matter of, whether or not you Can you invest in that? Is there ways, financing? These are things that we go through as a dentist. We would tell the patient, your treatment is $30,000. And then we have to figure out how to help them finance it. So for me, that's usually not the first thing as far as mentor. It's where do I want to go next? And who can help me there? Yes.
What was your first step?
My first step in
Your progress
my progress as a coach, speaker,
towards your success.
toward my success. I think my first step is thinking about what's most important. And that goes back to clarity. So for example, when I first came here as a refugee, I didn't know a lot of English. So the goal was learn English. And then we have family back home. So the goal has always been hurry up, go through school, make money to help support the family. When I come out as a dentist, it was how do I grow as fast as I can so I can be successful. That was my definition back then. So I can make money to help the family, kind of thing.
Your first step was probably the hardest, and that was coming here.
Yes, but I didn't have a choice.
You had to come here.
I didn't have a choice. I was 13 years old, and the communists had taken over the country from Vietnam, and my dad told me that I needed to leave with my aunt, so that way I can help the family. So my aunt escaped from Vietnam with 6 kids, 2 of her own, me and my older brother, and 2 other cousins. So for me, I didn't have a choice, you gotta go, then you gotta go. But once I come here, I think that was the very first step is to decide how much do you try. Because I'm sure you know people who also, either they live here or maybe they come here and they stay at a certain level. So for me, the first step is really, what is it that you want? But why do you want it though?
That's it. That's your decision.
Yes, because if you don't want it bad enough, you're not gonna do anything.
You decided and you could be 13 when you decide that. You decided, I want to be this. And you started laying out your bricks to step on to get there.
Yeah, so I think
all that other stuff came from that decision.
Yeah, I think what I did was I actually had that high performance mindset. I didn't know.
Right.
So when I go through that coaching training, I was, wait a minute, I was only doing this, I was doing this, I was doing this. I didn't have a name for it. So to me, it was very kind of a natural fit. Like, oh, I'm gonna be teaching what I'm already doing. Except now there's a framework from Brendan Bouchard, who is a very well-versed and well-educated person. He has a master in psychology, and he works with people in nursing home, he works with athletes, so he works with a range of people, so when he's teaching, it's a broad range of experience. And sometimes that's what you need when you're working with somebody, because they say something, and you can relate to them, so you can help them with what they go through. That answer your question?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Any other question?
So what are the 3 words that you put on your alarm?
Oh, my 3 words is learning, giving, and teaching.
Beautiful.
And that's kind of what I do. Yeah. And I mean, you can have more than 3 words. The reason I ask for 3 words is then you get a little bit more clear, because if I ask for 20 words, you will have 20 words.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
But if you say 3, then when it comes to whatever the next thing that you need to do, if it's in alignment with those 3, it's very easy for me to say yes. And if it's not, it's very easy for me to say no. And my phone would ring, and it's just a daily reminder of what I need to do. Very good? Okay, well, thank you very much. So we're just gonna take a 5-minute break so we can change the mic out, and then I will introduce our next speaker. 5 minutes.
It is. Listen, not everybody gets a book, you know?
Okay, so this is the nonsense book. The other book was published by the university, and it's very good. So that was, I didn't have to do it again. That was a help. But I
But
did.
everybody has a story, everybody has a book, you know? You did it, you know? It's powerful. Oh.
Thank you for asking. What I want to do is just share my presentations in here, but I want to make sure that some of the videos I have are in crank. Because there's times I discovered with a stick. Well, one of them.
Videos are all
Yeah, I linked them in here, but. Of course, some sources on my laptop. Yeah, there's one a couple nights ago. All the way to left, action to win.
You need somebody else?
Yeah, the video is from,
Oh, they're separate. So that, all of these?
yeah, they're all different things, so.
Are they?
Word from source, we can't choose this.
Just videos. Is this one?
Hello, Dr. Peck. Thank you very much for the post-op video. I'm going to give you a patient